The last time we were talking to you, man, it was roughly about a week before your fight. Walk us through your UFC debut.
Got to New Jersey, got checked in and everything, and then the week of the fight, wasn't really nervous or anything like that. The nerves didn't really hit me till after we weighed in, and Dana White kind of had the fighters meeting and talked to us, and I was just like, oh man, this is the real deal. But then as far as the fight went, I definitely didn't perform to my potential. Call it, what you want to call it, nerves. A lot of people say, first time UFC jitters. I just went out, and I think the biggest issue probably with me was, just the short training camp, the 3-week training camp, and I was just too, I guess you can say, afraid to really commit to anything. Didn't really commit to my takedowns. Wasn't, committing to my punches. Just more, I think I was afraid of gassing out, which, after the fight's over now and watching the film, a dozen times, he looked just as tired as me in the third round. So, if I would have pressed the action a little bit more, might have had a different result. But as far as, the first fight, I went in there and fought 3 rounds with a guy who was in title contention, just a year or so ago. So I definitely know that I deserve to be in the UFC now, and I'm really excited to for my next fight to get in there and get a full training camp and show everyone what I'm really all about.
We talk to a lot of fighters, and a lot of guys tell me, oh, I don't watch videotapes, I leave that up to my coaches. But you actually study the fight tape quite a bit?
Yeah, I studied my opponent beforehand and after. And, Rick did a really good job of, all the film we watched. He's really good at pressuring people, putting them on the fence, and taking them down. So, in my mind, I was just kind of like, just as long as I keep the center of the octagon, not get against the fence, I might be able to frustrate this guy and not let him take me down. And, the one time he had me on the fence and tried taking me down later in the fight, I believe in the third round, I was able to defend it because that's what we worked on. But he got his takedowns in the center. A couple of them were, him actually shooting in and taking good shots, getting underneath my punches. And then a couple of them were, I was just kind of throwing everything I had into my punches, and I kind of slipped, I think like 2 or 3 times. But and he was able to get the takedown off that. He did a really good job of just, I guess you can say, kind of changing up his usual game plan, looking for the takedown in the center rather than against the cage. That kind of threw me off. And then, after watching the fight, I thought we were pretty even on our feet. I think, he might have landed a couple more, but I definitely hit him with, a big overhand right towards the end of the first round that I think made him a little bit tentative to stand with me after that, and I think that's why he was looking more for the takedown. But, after looking at the tape, I fought really well against a guy who, people were talking about title contention. So, but I have a lot of confidence now knowing that I can hang with some of the best, and especially on a 3-week, notice. So.
Last time we had you on the show, we were asking you about the octagon jitters, and you told us that you didn't think it would affect you much just because you've been there with Seiler and Ramsey and all those guys. Do you think that experience helped?
No, yeah, definitely. Like I said, just as far as like the usual routine, you're, going and checking in with the UFC, getting pictures done, and all of that stuff. I kind of been backstage with that. Like I said, the only time I really got nervous was after the weigh-ins. I wasn't even nervous for the weigh-in. We were joking around after because, Rick Story kind of got in my face at the weigh-ins, and it just kind of made me laugh because I was like, man, I trained with Ramsey at the pit. You got to do a lot more than that to make me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
So we were all just kind of joking around about that, having a good time, me and my teammates and coaches, and then, afterwards, Dana White has a, just fighters meeting, and, after he talked to us, I kind of got nervous then. I was like, oh man, like, yeah, this is the real deal, like, but as far as the octagon, I mean, during the warm-up, I wouldn't necessarily say maybe I had more jitters than I usually do, maybe a little bit more, but if anything, it was just my opponent, a lot, myself included, and a lot of other fighters, I've been fighting professionally for about 6 years now, almost 6 years, and so, the UFC, you put this UFC on a pedestal, and it is, the major leagues of fighting, and so, for me to finally get there, it was a dream come true, and, you kind of question yourself, am I ready for this opportunity? I train with really good teams, the Pitt family, the Pitt Elevated in Utah, and the Pitt in Aurora Grande, California, John Hackman, and you still always kind of question yourself, and so definitely after this fight now, I know I deserve to be there. I mean, my UFC debut going against a tough guy like Rick Story, I just kind of look at the other newcomers that fought on the same card. Unfortunately, those newcomers fought my teammates,
right.
Steve Tyler and Ramsey Nijum. They both fought UFC first-timers, and the other first-timers got finished in the first round. And so, me being a first-time UFC fighter, fighting someone like Rick Story and going 3 rounds, and he definitely won the decision. I don't necessarily think it was some lopsided victory. He won it off his takedowns. But, I definitely know I deserve to be in the UFC now, and going into my next fight, there won't be any doubts. I know I deserve to be here, and, I'm really excited to get that next fight and train for that and, have that opportunity again. I think, my second UFC fight, people are going to see, what kind of fighter I really am.
You really stepped up to face Rick Story, who, like you said, just a little less than a year ago was a #1 contender. I spoke with CJ Keith, I spoke with Joey Gambino, the other 2 fighters you were referring to, and Joey says he's got a UFC fight coming up later in the fall. CJ Keith, I don't know if he's going to be fighting again with the UFC, what the deal there is, but you for sure have another fight coming up?
I think so. They didn't tell me anything. My manager asked me when I wanted to fight again, and I just kind of said, I just want one more this year, sometime later in the year, October, November. I asked for November, but, October, November, December would be fine with me. I fought in May and then right away again in June, so taking a little bit of a break, not so much from training. I took a week off, and then, I started doing cardio. Just taking a little break from, the sparring and whatnot, getting hit in the head all the time. And, I'll start grappling again next week, but I'll take a break from, like, the sparring and stuff like that. But, as far as I know, I have another fight.
Can you just throw out your Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook, just Brock Jardine, and also Brock Jardine fan page, and then you can follow me on my Twitter at Brock Jardine.
Hey, Brock, have a good weekend, man.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Okay, thank you.